dude. Careful. Did you forget?
Realist Podcast. Welcome to the Your Hair Podcast. This is episode 139 of the podcast. You know where to find the podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube with video, Anchor.fm, www.yourhairpodcast.co. We cannot afford the M. Formosa hot sauce.
Yep.
Realist sponsor in the game that put a Realist podcast in the game. Formosa hot sauce. It's a family recipe. Tasty, gluten-free, vegan, soy-free, all the frees. Mm-hmm. And the taste is impeccable. I'm not going to back something that I don't use and I don't taste.
It's not a free price, though. It does cost some money.
It does cost a little money.
Yeah.
But I would say it's worth it.
It is so worth it.
All right. If you want to get yourself a bottle, formosasauce.com. Go get yourself some.
Boom. Boom.
And we're back. Welcome home. Welcome back. We have a beautiful podcast. I can't wait to speak. We have Damien Swaby, all the way from England.
Yes.
Joining us late in the night.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Damien. He hosts the Filmmaking Conversations podcast on the
Filmmaking Conversations with Damien Swaby.
With Damien Swaby.
That is the title.
So it's available on all platforms: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. They have their website. You can go check it out there, and also part of the Indie Film Hustle network.
That's
which
right.
I kind of want to talk about too.
That's right.
But let's introduce Damien. How are you doing today?
Damien, welcome, buddy.
Welcome back.
Hey, guys, thanks so much for the intro and for inviting me on. I'm doing great. I've been working all day, so I've been looking forward to speaking to you and cracking open a beer and having a great chat.
There we go.
We love it, dude. I'm excited to be talking to you too, man. We have a long history, me and Damien. We go way back. But
this is what I wanted to know.
This is cool, man. This is cool. Like for me, dude, I'm psyched about this. You know, I was talking to you a little bit before, but like we never got to sit down and have a conversation about our lives, really, about who you are.
No.
I've sat down with you twice and we've talked about, you know, film stuff and career stuff. But I was like, you know, who is Damien? And you know, I've been curious for all these years. I think it's been like 10 years or so that we've been in some kind of communication with each other on and off. You know what I mean? And it was through Twitter, right? Is that right?
Yeah, via Twitter. Definitely.
Via Twitter. Yeah. And so what I remember was, you know, a filmmaker named Damien Swaby reached out to me through a DM, and we started communicating, and it just seemed effortless. And but yeah, man, like, so you're from the UK. What part of the UK are you from, Damien? I would love to know this. The before times, before I came in contact with you.
Oh, well, originally I'm from Southeast London.
Okay.
A place called Catford. And when I was 20, I moved to North London, a place called Crouch End. And I've been around North London, Camden, Muswell Hill, you know, those type of places for a while. And last few years, I've been in a place called Palmer's Green. It's a London suburb. It's you know, it's just the way I like it. It's quiet. It's got great transport links, great parks, great butcher. So yeah, it's just the way I like it, and that's where I'm from in London. Gotcha. And I couldn't see myself living. If I live in England, I can't see myself not living in North London.
Yeah, dude. So what? This is cool. What was the first story that you remember that like had an impact on you?
Oh gosh, the first story. And it might be. Do you mean film-wise, or?
I mean, it could be a book. It could be anything at all.
Oh, okay. That's a tough one. That really is, because I get things mixed up in a sense, because I'm thinking, okay, the first story, the first kind of stories of, without thinking about them being stories I might have heard would have been maybe, I don't know, a couple of Michael Jackson songs, or other stories could have been like a film. The first story, oh gosh, in school we used to have Roald Dahl books. He was a big writer in the UK.
Yes.
And one of the teachers loved reading his book, so that's a story as well. But even life, you know, say that, for example, my family are originally from Jamaica. So even like growing up, there'd be a story of some sort, whether it'd be like, I don't know, you're so lucky you don't have to walk so long to get to school, because my school was literally on my road. You know, back in Jamaica, it would have been blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
So there's such an amalgamation of stories coming from very different places. I literally can't remember, or I can't think of what would have been the first story.
Yeah.
I definitely know the first stories would have been around from home, and the arts, so music, film, and things of that nature. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious too, because you're a filmmaker as well, and that's what we kind of clicked up on first, was speaking about filmmaking. And I think I was in college, and I was like sending you my trailers, and and then I was watching your stuff as well. And why story? Like what was it about story that like had an impact on you so much so that you're a podcaster? You literally you like to talk to people about their dreams about storytelling, and now it's like I get to put you in the seat and say, what is it about storytelling for you? Like, what is the thing about story and crafting story that you want to have a career, so much so you devote your life to that?
I think the main thing for me is I've always been interested in human behavior and the world around me. So with that being said, it links direct to stories. So I'm constantly looking out, observing and analyzing, and I find that you can learn so much from people, and you can be so interested by people. So I always want to know stories. I want to know where and how people, like, for example, great example for me anyway. So forgive me.
No,
a great example was when you said about going to film festivals, and you'll drive to meet the people at the festival. You'll drive to Texas or wherever need be to meet those people, and you engage with them, and I'm sure they're going to tell you stories about, I had a great DP and he fell out 12 hours before the film was going to shoot, and someone else might say, someone gave me a pickup truck when I didn't think I'd get one at the last minute, and that made that scene, and from that I met someone else and we made a great film, and then that film went to so-and-so, and then I got this great job with so-and-so, and then I moved here, and then I met so-and-so. It's all of those things come together when you're out in this kind of world of film and arts, when you go around and you meet people and you talk to people. And I find all of those things very interesting. It enriches my life. It gives it more than, say, to be a person who's not interested in stories. For me, I've had certain jobs that have had nothing to do with stories, and they kind of just destroyed my soul to a certain degree. So it's really good to be interested in stories. And again, the first album I got was because I remember I got those home hi-fis back in the day. You press the button and the CD player comes out. To younger people, it would sound like a dinosaur type thing. And it was I was on cassette. It was Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, the Summertime album.
Come on.
And Will Smith's lyrics in that, you're like, I ain't nothing but a dog, one of the songs, and the songs the girl's calling him a dog because he's a player and all the rest of it. And Summertime itself, and there's a song when he's talking about seeking advice from his dad. I mean, all of those stories. I think that one in particular, I remember him. It was like a book, and every song was a chapter.
Wow.
And I really got into different types of music. I mean, now I like a lot of like Miles Davis and Butcher Brown and John Coltrane and all those type of things. Some of the modern guys out now are just absolutely brilliant. And even with those are stories without words. They're different types of stories. There's a podcast I listen to, Origin Records. It's a jazz podcast. And some of the names of those songs, like How to Park a Car and things like that, A Rainy Day in Portland, just different types of approach in storytelling, technically and creatively amazing. And how we both like Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. Afterward, I last spoke to you, I watched Before Sunset again. And that is a story that is just amazing. We've got 3 films, we'll probably have a 4th, and that's come from 2 people walking around Berlin, or it's a part of Germany, the first one. It's
Vienna.
the story. It's always been there, so it's hard to remember the first time or the first story that comes to mind.
You think you were fated for this? You think this is something you were born to be, like something that but you were just cut from a cloth of storytellers, and or is it something by chance that you just
No, I think it's just the way I was supposed to be, the way I'm the way I am. I've always loved it and enjoyed it and been interested in it. But unfortunately, I think sometimes in school or education, you're in a position where, well, for me, for example, you are interested in stories and being creative and things like that. But the I wouldn't say the problem, but what happens is school can be quite narrow. So I had a choice to do drama, or that was pretty much it in my school. So I went down that road. It's only later in life I realized, well, no, that's not what I want to be a part of when it comes to telling stories. But I guess in, growing up, in my school and where I'm from, whatever, they wouldn't have said, oh, you could maybe think about being a cinematographer. Or how about editing a story? Or how about being a gaffer or, a key grip? But, it was just very narrow. But eventually you find your path when you kind of get out there and you're closer to being an adult and things like that. So one way or another, I was always interested in stories. And I think you get to where you want to go or what you want to be by doing the work that you need to do.
I love that. I love that, Damien. I know I could speak to you for a week about the things that came up in life as obstacles, family, opinions of others. I take that. I'm very sensitive, and those kinds of things, especially when I was younger, would really make me deviate, from the thing I know I want to do with my life, and the thing I feel like I do best. And I don't know if you've ever had those. I'm sure you have had experiences where obstacles come up, and they make you question, like, is this for me? Do I continue down this road as a younger man? Is this something I should continue to put time in and invest in for my future, or should I do the safer thing? What was it for you that like how do you take those forks in the road and stick to your gut? Or did you deviate? Did you get away? And did you come back? I know I went away for a year or two and I came back, and I'm glad I did.
I'm glad you did too. I deviated without even really knowing, if I'm honest.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is sometimes you go and get the job that helps you get by, and then the job gets you.
Yes.
So I'd be working in a bar. I'd be doing 10 hours, and I'd be doing 15 hours. Then I'd do 20 hours a week. And then a supervisor leaves, and they say, oh, you want to do the supervisor's job? It's only 24 hours. You think I could do with a bit more money? I'm the supervisor. Before you know it, you're the assistant manager in this pub. And the pay that you get, that's a bit more. But, you can't retire on it, but it's a lot better than being a struggling artist. And then you kind of down because you're not doing what you want to do. But you're like, well, I've got this flat apartment and I need this job. And then a mixture of other things. You have bad relationships. You still remember, or in my case, and I think for some others, there are people in life that will tell you can't be a creative, you can't be an actor, filmmaker, whatever. And when they see you in that rut, they're quick to remind you of that. And sometimes people are quite happy within themselves that you didn't do the thing you wanted to do. Who do you think you are? Now you're back in reality with me doing the job you don't like, because that's the way the world works. There are some of those people out there that are like that. And so I kind of deviated and I didn't even really know. And then I kind of woke up because I lost the job. And I remember just laying in my bed thinking, get your ass together. So I got a part-time job and I didn't look back. No more full-time, no more supervisor role. No. If it meant just living off, what was I eating then? Well, to be fair, I was eating not bad. Food's really cheap in London. You can get some really cheap food. So yeah, it was just, there wasn't much extravagance and things for a while. And I just got back on it. But I think it's a shame that so many of us fall off potentially because of others, not because of what's happening in the audition rooms, not because of what the casting breakdowns are, but because other people can be, if I can say the word, a bit shitty.
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely say that word. I think, man, it's true. I think the influence people have on you. This is such any venture, any dream. I think that is chased. We were talking about this last episode, but any dream I think that's chased, I think there should be so much respect given, because the amount of doubt you have to live with just in your own mind, things that come up, that's enough to make a lot of people not follow their dream or pursue it or stop. But then when you have the influence of another person, I think you put it really well, man. I think sometimes some people, and I don't say this as a dig or a slight, but I think it's an insecurity or a sense of shame about who they are and what they've chosen because they did listen to the other person, right? And so they're like, stay here with me. I don't want to be the only one doing this. I don't want to feel like I made a mistake. So stay here with me. And you can listen to those voices too. They carry a lot of weight if you let them, and how many artists do you know that just that go the other direction? And we've done the same thing at some point. I did the full-time thing, and it was through family. It was through, so-and-so has a job for you. You got to take it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I don't really want to. I think I'm doing decently right now, and I think I'm growing as an artist, and I think I'm going to keep this part-time thing. And I was told, you're not. You're going to do this instead. And I listened. And it was a lesson because, like you, my soul was crushed. I started to see the world like what felt like black and white, like there was no color anymore. And and I lost the job. They fired the whole department, and I was like, that's the sign. This life's going one of two ways. You can stay here or you can go somewhere else. You can follow the thing you want to do. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad you did.
I'm glad you did, man.
Yeah, man. It's such a. I had a friend who passed away, a distant friend. His name is Ed Wasser. Shout out Ed Wasser. Passed away a few weeks ago. That. Oh, thanks, man. He was part of the community of like the acting school where I come from and Adam comes from, and he was part of the Philadelphia branch of that school, and he was like a pillar in the community. And we'd seen him a couple weeks ago actually at the film festival. And
oh man,
yeah, and he had this guy was such a dreamer, and he put the money he made at his part-time jobs or wherever he was working into his films. He did it every year. He stuck to the script. He was a dreamer, dude. And I have so much respect for that guy, man. And God rest his soul now. And he can rest now. But in this life, dude, it taught me that. It taught me a lot of things, his life, and this odd relationship we have. But it's so short, man. It's so short. And you really don't know if you're going to go to sleep and wake up. You don't know. So why not? And, while you have the breath in your lungs like you do right now, you're doing it. You're doing it. You're doing the thing you want to do. It doesn't matter what anyone's opinion is because you get one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You only get one. And I'm grateful to that we got to connect about film and talk before sunset and be pursuing our dreams like this and talking on our podcasts and it's just cool. I wouldn't trade this for anything. If there's no success, if there's no money, if there's no fame, that's totally fine with me. Today is the only thing we have. The present moment's the only thing we have, and the communication we get with each other in this moment, it's all that's real. It's the only thing that's real.
Yeah.
And we can't say we sold out. We can't say we haven't pursued it because we have. Yeah.
It really touches me because just from meeting you and like of our friendship that grew, and then learning about, with filmmaking and like you acting, and then you bring me on for something, and then we start the podcast, and I'm meeting all these people. I would have never met Ed, if we never, just from like one meeting, So it just makes me think of how fleeting every moment is.
Yeah.
How like we're like almost conditioned not to cherish each moment.
Yeah.
We're just,
Yeah.
especially in like New Jersey, New York, it's like any city is like, all right, cool. Like, nice moment. Let's move on.
Mhm.
We got to, whatever, make our money, do whatever we got to do. But I wanted to ask you guys, do you feel like you can choose the things you love?
Mm.
Like, whether it's filmmaking or like people, or because growing up is always as like a kid, it's always like, you know, you ask, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's like, I want to be like a rock star or like an astronaut. And like, there's so many grand ideas. Do you feel like you kind of ask about fate, like if you're fated to do something, do you feel like you can, if you really love acting or you really love music, you want to be a musician, can you put everything into it and like you can become that? Do you believe in that?
I'll let our guest answer.
Can you become that? You can become a version of it, I believe. So when you say learning something and really going for it, you know, there are people in certain fields that are incredibly talented. So, you know, people might use Prince for an example. You know, he's extremely, not everybody can be Prince and have that amount of success. But I definitely think within being a rock star or a writer or a computer programmer or whatever you want to be, one of the things that we're so lucky of right now is the way we can learn. So we can just jump on YouTube and we can find courses and tutorials that will help us. I think you can, oh God, and the way you can release stuff now. You know, you mentioned being a rock star or like even the films, the way you can just, and podcasting and book publishing and all sorts. You know, you can be what you want to be. And I really believe that. But I do think sometimes people need to take into account how profitable it might be for them. That's it. And I think that's fair for everything, really, you know. But I think we're in some really great lucky times.
Yeah.
Where if you know, to just take an hour. I mean, I did a course where I used to work in a place called Croydon, and it's quite far from where I live. And I did a video journalist course for video journalism for social change. I did the course on my train to work and on the train back home. And I finished it like that. I said, I'm going to do 2 hours a day. I got a seat on the train but when it wasn't at peak hours when I was traveling.
Wow.
And I did the course that way. I mean, so if you want it, you can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so easy. I think now is like, that's what I love about, like, obviously technology has its downsides and good things, but it's just so easy to like create a little community.
Oh yeah.
And like to have like, if you like something, you can just find like a little niche of people that like the same little thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And like you can all just be there.
Well,
you know?
I mean,
There's so much power in that.
There's so much power, dude. I think, Damien, you could speak on that, man, because you know, when we connected, like, I didn't even know how to use Twitter, and then I think you were like the first message that ever came up in my inbox, and I remember one of them, and I was wondering, like, was it was like to connect with someone who may be interested in as the same thing and to create a sense of maybe a community. Like I want to build a network of people through my Twitter account that I can connect with because I have interest in the same thing. And that was through the internet. You did that, you know? And now fast forward a decade and we're on a podcast together that we were just, I was doing yours, now you're doing mine. It's just funny, man. Like you can network yourself, I guess, through a social media account and create a community, or release a thing and then someone likes it and then they release a thing because of what you released and then you talk about it and you grow your community that way. Yeah, man. Yeah. Was that the intention when you reached out? Was it like to connect with someone possibly through, you know, the filmmaking, you know, similar interests?
Yeah, well, to be honest, when I first started on Twitter, I didn't really. Someone was like, "You got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it."
Same.
And I just kind of thought, "Oh, I don't even understand this. Like, who am I going to follow? I don't know. What is this?" And then I started using it, and I was like, oh, "Okay, I'm starting to understand this now." And it's because I thought it was just you go on it and you just follow celebrities, and I thought, well, that's just not my kind of thing. You know what I mean? And then I was like, "Oh, you can." Hashtag filmmaker and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you see someone you follow liked someone's tweet and you see it. It's like, oh, who's this guy or who's that person? And so I started to like it and get used to it. And then I saw your film. I can't remember if I saw it on Vimeo or on Twitter. I think I saw it on Vimeo first.
Yeah.
And then I thought, let me see if this guy's on this Twitter app.
Right.
And you were. So I just thought, that's cool.
Wow.
So that's what I like. Like when you say community, it's like, yeah, my Twitter feed is mostly independent filmmakers that are making stuff that I like. You know, and I can appreciate and I can see where they're coming from.
Yeah.
And they got, a great spirit like yourself, and the words just come off the screen and the performances and everything. And you just, okay, this is the type of person I want to speak to and connect with. And so again, I can hear their story and I can find out why they've made this story and why they wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
And that's what I really enjoy, rather than sometimes I find I get sent short films and they just feel like kind of like career projects. Not that that's bad, but it's like someone's just said, I'm going to be in this film because I think it will launch me.
Yeah.
Or the whole thing about the film is launching. It's going to launch us. It's going to wait, see what's going to happen. And that's a tad bit boring for me.
Yeah.
It's fine. I mean, I would like to be launched. I'd love to have a Netflix series. But what you're doing and what other people are doing, I find more interesting, where I think this is what they want to make, and this is a cool story, and I like the performances and the crew members and the technical side of things are really nice. But then again, some things, the technical side of things, not very good. But if it's a good story, it's a good story.
Yeah.
And obviously, sometimes we're making things, without much money, man. So sometimes things are gonna give. Yeah. I'm doing a edit in one of my shorts. To be blatantly honest, I can't afford the colorist.
Yeah.
A couple have said they'll do it, and I haven't really heard much back from them. And the ones that I've also offered, they're maybe not there yet to be a colorist, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm grading my film.
Yeah.
But I really love collaboration, so I'd love it if I shot the film, handed it to an editor, handed it to a colorist, and then the audio sound guy did the sound mix, and then the producer had some ideas. But it's not always the case for me. A lot of the times I'm wearing many hats. But yeah, so Twitter for me is really cool because you get to reach out to people and great films. I mean, like I say, I'm in London. I've never been to New Jersey. I've been to New York.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw on Twitter. I've been to a cafe you've been to in New York, in Brooklyn.
Really?
I saw a photo. Yeah, I can't. Westbrook or something.
The West.
Yeah.
Oh.
I saw him wearing the shirt. I was like, oh, he knows the West.
You were at the West.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Isn't that
I
wild?
was there a few times when I was in New York. Yeah.
Dude, one of my dream trips is to come to England. So when I do, I'm going to stop by wherever you are. Dude, I'm such a huge fan of yours. I've said this to you many times. I'll say it on the podcast. For anyone who's questioning my fandom, I'm a huge Damien Swaby fan. For real. I think we're cut from the same cloth in a lot of ways. I didn't realize why we get along so well, but I think that might be why. A lot of what you're saying resonates with me, man. We have questions from guests. You have a couple questions you want to get to. I don't want to keep them here too long because I know we got to get them out.
Yeah.
At some point. What are we at right now?
28 minutes. 20 minutes.
Okay. So we're good?
Yeah, we got time.
Okay.
We got time.
Okay. Okay, Damien. Tell us about this short. I'm sorry. Is this a short film that you're working on right now, or is this a feature film that you're editing?
I'm editing a short film.
This is a short film. So tell us a little bit about this film. I'm really curious.
Well, this film is called Home is Where the Heart Is. And it's about a young lady who moves away from her mother. But the mum and her dad have been divorced. So the mum's feeling very lonely at home. And she wants her daughter to come back. But her daughter doesn't feel she can come back because she hasn't fulfilled what she needs to fulfill in London. So it's just a cross between doing the right thing and the wrong thing, but what is really the right thing or the wrong thing in that situation? Because you do have a lot of people moving to the bright lights of London in England, but they can't really afford it, and it's not the dream they want it to be. Yeah, because ultimately they're working all the time, maybe in like not the best job, and all of that money goes to rent. So you're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And I think, you know, I've known people that it is good to maybe go home and reassess the situation. But yeah, that's the story. And it's got it. One of the things is probably there's a lot of pop-ups because there's a lot of mobile phone usage. So I'm trying to do the whole Facebook and Twitter pop-ups that come on screen when you use mobile phones. So that's it's not as challenging as I thought, but that's what the film's about. And I'm hopefully I'll be able to send it to you in November.
Oh, beautiful. Yeah, we'll be looking forward to watching it, man. I would love to watch it. Is it? Do you enjoy the editing process right now? I know that for me, editing is like I can't get involved. Like I can't. But if I have to, I will. Like if it was on me and the bank account's dry and I have no one that wants to do it, I'm in there. You know, I'll figure out the pop-up thing as well. Do you enjoy that process? Do you get like a kick out of watching the film frame by frame and cutting out this linear story?
To be honest, I've edited some of my own films, and well, the first one I ever did is the funny one because a friend of mine, he's like solid professional editor for like 30 years now and stuff. And I watched him edit one of my films, 2 of them, and it was completely different. And I realized this is a mess. This is why people who shoot films don't necessarily direct their own, edit their own films. He just had fresh eyes, and it was just 10 times better. Yeah. A film I did last year, again, went to a separate editor. Brilliant. He had ideas I didn't have. So I love editing. Like for example, today at work, 2 jobs I did today. I started editing a corporate showreel for a company to promote their work. And a documentary I shot, I was editing today for a different company. But when it comes to narrative film that I've shot myself and directed, I just kind of think it's best to hand it over to an editor. Obviously, some people, I think Steven Soderbergh edits his own film sometimes in the early days. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm a big believer in the collaboration process where someone comes along with fresh eyes and fresh ideas and edits the film. But if someone sends me the film, I think I'm the fresh eyes and the fresh ideas as an editor. And my own stuff, this is going to be the last film of mine I'll edit.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. I understand. I feel the same way. I love that. That says a lot about what you feel. What is it about? Oh man, I wanted to ask you this so bad. What is it about Before Sunset, the Before trilogy? Because on paper, Damien, let's be honest. If someone hands you this script and it's 2 people and all they're doing is walking around Vienna or walking around in Paris and they're just talking. And every scene, they're just talking. Nothing's happening. Nothing's really unfolding. It's just 2 people talking. If Linklater came to you, said, "Man, I wrote this thing, Damien. I really want you to direct it." What would you like? Why do you think you might say no? And why do you think it works so well? Because we're both really big fans of that trilogy. Why do you think it works so well?
I think the honest nature of how things can be. And I think sometimes you can just meet someone and have a conversation like that. I mean, when I was younger, I used to kind of be a bit like, all right, I'm just going to speak to this girl on the bus or the tube or the train or whatever. So that straight away, I was just like, oh, I want to watch this, you know, the way he was. And you can sometimes automatically start talking to someone as if you've known them for 10 years. Or you're just intrigued by each other. So almost like a magnet is happening here with these 2 people. So that really, really interested me. And especially his story, like what he was saying and how he was. I think a lot of guys think or feel like that, but they don't normally want to say. And I found it very refreshing that I'm watching this film. And as I said, I preferred the second one. When he says, how about we get married now? And I know that sounds insane, but people have got married for a lot less. And I just thought, sometimes, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, that's me. You know, I've still got a bit of that about me.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, fuck it. And when he's got to get his plane to go back, it's like, is it worth going back to the airport now? Really? It's not. You miss your flight, you miss this. Money's replaceable. She isn't.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's things like that I really like, and I like the simplicity of it, and I like the dialogue. I'm a big dialogue guy. I like to hear people talk stories again. You know, there's stories, and there's the little cheeky thing she says about America to him, and you know, the kind of side digs, but it's all done in jest and stuff. And I really like the idea of relationships on screen like that, because I think sometimes those relationships are a lot more realistic or happen a lot more often than people like to think, and certainly a lot more than what we see on screen.
Wow. I sense a hopeless romantic in this conversation right here. Am I right? Am I right? I know I am. I am very much so.
Yeah.
You know,
I am.
I believe in the connection between two people. I think you're so right when you say, is it worth getting back? Like, why get back on the plane? You know, life would tell us get back on the plane. Your friends would tell you get back on the plane. You know, your life before you says get back on the plane. All of it that you come in with. But what's in front of you is the thing you know to be true, which is like, I am in love. That's all I know. And I think, man, Linklater is such a G for that. I think he is such a gangster. I think you're right. Those relationships exist in life. I think people deny them or ignore them. I think there's the potential of that in everyone. I think there's a person on a train that you haven't approached and you're like, damn, you know, did I miss out? And I think what he did with time, Damien, I've never seen film the way he used time. Like Citizen Kane is like a good example of time being used in a film, right?
Yeah.
And we see it pass over time. That's one way of doing it. He took the lives of the same people, and you see what life has done to these people on their faces. Physically, they age, they grow, they change, you know? And it's in the dialogue, like you said, it's in the dialogue. She says, "Do I look the same?" And he goes, "I'd have to see you naked." Right? And it's a joke, but it's like real. Like he's being silly and he's being cute and he's trying to, you know, poke her a little bit. And she's just overwhelmed with laughter because it's real. There is a quality of reality in that question and answer, right? And it's littered with those. It's littered with this. You know, if in the last film, I think she says, you know, if you saw me on that train now, would you still come talk to me? Would you still, you know, say that I was beautiful and all this stuff? And he's answering, you know, you could say it's truthfully or not, but he's saying, you know, I wouldn't change a thing. And those films say a lot, man. There's so much subtlety.
And that's a great point. What is real when you've been with someone that long? You know, what can he say? And how? And that's why I love those films. It's like, where'd you go? I mean, he's at a certain age now. And do you really want to have a conversation in certain ways if you say, no, I wouldn't?
Yeah.
Because in a sense, he's saying, I want a divorce. Yeah. If you say to your wife or, you know, long-term girlfriend, I wish I'd never spoke to you on the train, i.e. I wish you weren't here now.
Yeah.
And I think that's certainly a part of life when guys and women reflect on the 20, 30 years. And I love that in what Linklater's done and the whole team behind it and everything.
Yeah, man. And how he speaks about like, this isn't the storybook thing, right? This isn't, you know, this incredible love story, but this is real. He goes, this is the closest thing you're going to get to being loved. Like basically he's saying.
I think it is too.
And
I'm trying to think of like what else. Like
I think you can, and this is why it's cool. It's like a meter for where you are in life. I think like you can go back and watch these trilogies and you can say, oh, I really relate to, you know, you're the 25, you know, this guy, 25-year-old bachelor, you know, moving to his new place. Oh, right. He's getting out there. He's doing great right now, right? He's on fire. The kid's on fire.
Yeah, right. For sure.
And but you watched the first film probably, and you're
Dude, like when I watched that, when I was like in a full relationship, like years,
yeah,
and like now I'm just single and I watch it and I'm like, well, you know, it's like completely different in me.
yeah.
I can think of it a completely different way.
I think it's like the younger guy is like looking at, or the person that feels like they haven't met that person yet would say, "Oh man, that's so." That blows my mind that he just walks up to her on the train, because I feel that sometimes. I feel like I should do that, and you watch it play out, and you're like, "Look how it could go! Look how it could go!" And then the second film is more of like if you're in a place of, man, I know someone, and I haven't said everything I wanted to say yet, and I'm wondering if that is what's she doing? What's going on there? What if I ran into it? What would it be? Maybe that's why Before Sunset relates to you more. And then the Before Midnight, I think, is for the woman in the relationship of 30 years who's like, does my husband even love me anymore? Or you know, there could be a plethora of things. Like the guy's like, you know, is my marriage falling apart? Those films speak to you at different points of your life and different points of a relationship, I think.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah.
You're 110% right.
Yeah.
Because I watched the first one, I would have been about 26, 27, I think. And my mind then are completely different. And the stage I'm at now and the stage I was at then.
Yeah.
I mean, completely, you know. I was like Michael Moore, you know, young and on the rise and moving new place, you know, hot shot. And now I've got arthritis and
now I've got arthritis,
bad back, and
damn.
worried about my pension. How much should I put in this month? Very different stage.
But it's like, you know, we won't talk about relationship status. I'm married, I'll say that. But for let's say for Michael, it is so difficult. I think, Damien, you were talking about it. You know, you used to go up to girls on the train, you know, and you just approach them. You know, I wasn't that kind of guy. I was not that kind of guy. I was a guy who was very afraid, very insecure, very much worried about being rejected. And when I watched the first film, I was like, man, I can't do this anymore. Like, but I was with my wife at the time, but I was like, I can't believe there's guys like that are so, because what is the fear? What is the fear? Why am I so afraid of just approaching a beautiful woman saying like,
hi.
You know, hi, yeah, hello, hi. What is the fear there? The fear is to be like told you're not good enough or you're unloved. And it was just cool to see a story string out where it went right, in the rightest sense of the word, in a realistic way. And I know it's fantastical a bit because it's like this beautiful girl on a train and you're walking around Vienna and you've only got a day. Yeah. But you watch how it plays out. Keep rolling, and you see how it plays out. And it's not perfect. It's not perfect. I think it says a lot there. There is no perfect relationship. This is, and he says it in the lines, this is the closest thing you're going to get to real true love. This is what it looks like. It's not pretty all the time. It's not. It's not. And so, you know, some people don't engage because they want the perfect thing, right? You want the relationship where we never fight and we just love each other and everything's and you age gracefully and it's no issues and we have all the money in the world and perfect kids, and it's like it just doesn't happen. Not for anyone. So the film. Yeah. Sorry, I'm nerding out about the trilogy with you, but I wanted to do this for a long time.
No, it's my trilogy too, man. You know, I love that. Yeah, I loved it.
I'm really happy what you said about like with music and like the stories and stuff, because I love music too. Like
he's
I
a
make
bachelor
some music stuff
and a musician,
and like I feel like that's where I get a lot of story for me is like through music and like music videos, and then I got into film and stuff. I started with music, but I don't like. I'm trying to think of like my favorite form of story. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like I feel like filmmaking really like you can expand on so much. You know, but I feel like even like you were saying with like with Miles Davis and like just an album like of just like instrumental like those. I don't. How can that speak to me almost as much as like a full like film? Like I just watched Ghost Story. I don't know if you watched that, Damien.
Have you ever seen that, Damien?
Oh man.
No.
It's David Lowery. It's David Lowery film. A24 distributed, I believe.
Oh, okay.
It's called
really
A
good.
Ghost Story. You should check it out when you get the chance. I think you might have a reaction to it.
Yeah, but like I just feel like there's a specific album I think of that like reminds me of that type of story and everything, and I'm like that's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's like, what do you think is like how I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to like compare, what's more meaningful or not.
No,
but I just
it's
find
okay
that
to do
connection
that.
interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever had like a connection like that with a different form?
I think Damien, you spoke about jazz a lot,
Yeah.
and you're saying your
Yeah.
love for jazz. When I was in school,
Yeah.
when I was in acting school, the most recent one, with Adam and stuff, our teacher would talk about jazz. He would say, you want to see like good acting, you want to see like a real performance, go watch a jazz like band perform, a jazz ensemble like in a basement somewhere in New York City. Those guys,
Yeah.
it's not that they don't have their lines down. It's not that they're not prepared. They are so in tune with the moment. They are the art is flowing through them. They're prepared. They've learned the instrument, but they're not thinking about the chords. They're not worrying about the solo. They're present while the music is playing, and you're going to get something different every night. But it's the same song. It's still the song. That's artistry. That to me, jazz music like that influences me for sure.
Yeah.
And Damien, I know you said the same thing, but music in general, dude.
Yeah.
I always have some kind of, if I'm acting in a thing, I have a playlist,
Soundtrack, right?
and I go through it nonstop, and I do fantasies with it, and I walk around with it, and I do rehearsals with it, and that follows me for some reason in my body. Music is creative, and it gets mishmashed with the acting technique, and there's some thing on the other side that's the character. For some reason I make choices out of the music, and I always use music. Always, all different kinds.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
How about you, Damien?
Oh, music. It drives the edit a lot. Today it did this morning and afternoon and late evening. Well, afternoon, because it's it's like, for example, I can say if I was doing editing a UFC kind of promo or something like that, it's hard hitting, it's action and everything. So straight away, I'd pick the music for the edit, and the music would drive the edit. What shots I'm gonna put in, and the things like that. As an editor, music means personally and professionally, music means the world to me. I couldn't live without music. And what you said about the jazz musicians, they'll play the song, but it'll never be the same each time they play it. Funnily enough, a New York jazz band I mentioned before, Butcher Brown, they said they were on New York Paste or New York Past. It's a YouTube channel. It's a studio that has jazz bands, and they said every time they play a song, it will never be the same.
Yeah.
It would always be different.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's what I love about those guys, and many of those jazz acts. Hunter Tones is another one. I'm guessing is the same, because when I hear their songs, they're never the same. But maybe that's because they just fucked up. I don't think so.
But also, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Damien. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say, maybe in terms of recording an album, they have their album version that they feel must be a certain way. I don't know. But live, they just seem to mix it up. And I can completely understand, because when you're playing music like that live, the audience, you're interacting with them, and maybe the interaction one night in New Jersey is different from the interaction they may have one night in Baltimore. I can only guess. So things like that may play a part of it. But as you said, they're so in tune with it all. It's that moment. Maybe some of the members of the band walked out of their door after an argument with their girlfriend, and another member got a new job. The other one moved to a lovely new home. So when they will come onto the stage to play that music, they bring all of that with them, and that creates the song for the day, rather than a kind of maybe generic kind of popular outfit that does the song. No matter what's happening, it's the same every time. A friend of mine, when she went to watch Madonna live, not knocking Madonna, but she said she's seen her live in like Italy, London, Amsterdam. and she was doing the same thing every night on stage. Like she'd go to the left, hello Amsterdam. Then she'd go over to the right, I love you. She just same thing, and it was just like she just thought these are songs you've been doing for 20 years. You can mix it up, you know.
You lose value there, right? There's some kind of disingenuous, like prepackaged product you're serving. It's art. It's art. It's supposed to be.
She doesn't think you're gonna come more than once.
No, yeah, she thinks you're going to one show only. Damien's friends following her around, but no, I think that the jazz musicians, it's a good example to harken back to, because like they're in the moment. You're getting a new thing every night. That's how I look at acting. There's never going to be two takes the same. There will not be two theater performances the same. Everything has to be birthed out of the truth of the moment. What is the truth of the moment for you? What do you see around you? What's going on? It's going to change. It's going to change day to day. It's going to change moment to moment. It changes. Yeah, dude. I have so much more I want to talk about.
I know, Damien, you have to go soon, right?
Oh man. Yeah.
Maybe we can get through the questions.
Okay. Okay. Damien, is it cool if we go through a couple questions? We could do them rapid fire.
Sure, man.
Okay. One question. So we do a little live before our pods every week, and one question we got was from Sean Paul 89. Sean Paul said it was it was a rough week. I had two people close to me pass, and he's speaking about the guy I was talking about, Ed. Rest in peace, Ed. Ed's hit harder though, because it was unexpected. And my question for you guys today is this: death is rough to deal with regardless, but is it tougher to deal with it if it's expected or unexpected? And how do people cope with both? This is a deeper question.
Wow, you know. That's a deep question.
Yeah.
Wow, it depends who dies in that way. Your relationship with the person, I think, is the main thing to think about there, because what does expected even mean if someone says they have 6 months to live? You're dealing with so much when you think of a time frame within death. So if someone has 6 months to live and they're very close to you, how much time are you going to spend with them in that 6 months? What means more? You're going to quit your job and spend every moment of your day with them because you have this time frame? I really don't know. I really think it depends on your relationship with someone that defines how you deal with things. If I'm honest.
Yeah, I think there's no right way to do it. I think there's no playbook. There's techniques, people talk about, but I think each person, each relationship's different, so you're going to grieve different ways. I don't know. Is talking better? Is not? Is how can you can't dictate what you're going to emote or feel, so you have to you have to take it one moment at a time. And I think the best thing I could say is don't judge yourself, right? Grieving is, someone said about Ed's passing, they were speaking about it, and someone posted something where grief is the love that can no longer connect to the living being. Like, since the living being is gone, it's like that love exists still. It doesn't go anywhere. So it just kind of flows into different places, in weird ways. So that spoke to me. I don't know. Sorry, Sean. I don't know. I don't have an answer.
No, definitely after the last film we did, I'll Meet You There.
Oh yeah.
Quality film.
Explored that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you
so much. It's just like, I feel like you don't really, you can't really figure out a way of grief. I feel like it's whatever happens, then you gotta, I don't know, maybe you go to your loved ones, but I feel like whether it's expected or unexpected, you're gonna deal with it the same kind of way. I feel like.
Yeah, man. It's a case by case basis, I'd say. But the best advice I could give is do not judge yourself.
Yeah.
Whoa, this is from KT Trubetsky on Instagram, one of our faves. What is one thing you will never direct or film?
I'll never direct or film. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think at the moment now, in the UK at least, there's a lot of hoodie films I mean hoodie films, like kind of urban gangster
Got it.
type stuff, and it's been going on for quite a while now. And I'm not sure how genuine some of it is, and how realistic it is to say so much of it is out there across London. I've lived there my whole life. I walk around here with expensive camera kit late at night. No one's, except to me. I mean, I'm 5'8". I'm not no tough guy or anything. I don't know. So yeah, I don't think I would do one of those films, simply because there's so many stories. England is rich with stories beyond belief, and I think there needs to be a different maneuver now, and I don't want to be a part of those films.
I love it.
So,
You got your own path. Own path, man. I love that.
I want to do things, original, a bit different. Just stories, not the same thing. Like, it's God, here we go again.
Yeah.
Shot someone with drugs. I need something more.
Yeah.
I need something more now.
Well,
so that's not something I would do.
What would be something to close us up? Like, what is if I were to describe, or someone is to look back on Damien's career, let's say in 10 years, and what would you hope someone else who watches a viewer of your films would describe your stories as? What would be some qualities? What would be some things that they would take away? What are your hopes for your stories in the future?
That he has a voice. That would be, I'd be devastated if people said I haven't got a voice as a filmmaker. That would be harsh. It's honest films. There's no kind of bullshit with what I'm doing in that way. And he was true to the indie filmmaking spirit. He practiced what he preached. Always I practice what I preached. If I'm shooting on Alexa, there better be a lot of other things around me. If I'm just there with the Alexa with crappy lights and crappy location and crappy costume, and I take the photo and put on Instagram a shot of an Alexa, that's not the way I want to be remembered. I want to be remembered as a guy who, when the GH5 came out, he sold his GH4 camera and bought a GH3 so he could buy him better lights.
There we go, man.
That's my guy right there, Damien Swaby. Damien, how can the people reach you? How can we get in touch with you?
Damien Swaby on Twitter, Damien_Swaby_ filmmaker on Instagram, filmmakingconversations.com, and that way, man. Or feel through through that. Where else? Dialogue Driven Films. .co.uk. You can hit me up there. Hopefully I'll have some video up soon on it. I've got projects and the about me and the home. It's all set up. But there's 2 projects that one of which I mentioned I've got to edit, and one that I've written and someone else is filming and editing. So I'm quite excited to see that one. Because that's, as I said, that's the way I want to go forward, with not doing everything, more collaboration.
Yes. Amazing, dude. Thank you so much. Damien, you have invigorated the independent film spirit in my soul, dude. You've shaken it up. You've woke it up. I love talking to you, man. Let's keep doing these. You're welcome back anytime to the pod.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. And we'll be on the lookout for your stuff. We'll be sharing everything.
Cheers.
Yeah, brother. I'm just such a fan, man. Thank you so much. Mikey, let's take us out.
Straight back at you, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man. I love you.
Thank you so much, Damien. I'm glad to meet you. I appreciate everything. You coming on. All right, You Were a Podcast, episode 139. Thank you guys so much. Catch us on this
Friday. You can still get tickets.
24th, 25th at the Golden Door
24th at 8 p.m. 24th at 8 p.m.
Boom. At the Lowe's. What is it?
It's the Lowe's Landmark historical theater in Jersey City. You can go get tickets on the website.
Go catch it. We're gonna be out there. We're gonna have a good time.
I'll meet you there.
I'll meet you there.
That's just
I hate it, man.
Oh gosh.
You are here, podcast episode 139, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube video, Anchor.fm, www.yourpodcast. We cannot afford the M. Formosa hot sauce. Go get yourself some. My name is Mike and I'm out.
My name is Dave. I love y'all. Please be kind to one another. Damien, you got an outro.
Oh, I've got. Please be kind to one another and buy the hot sauce.
There we go.
Chicken wings are so great with hot sauce.